didn't really feel the pressure, then I didn't really put that much pressure on myself. If I look back at it now, if I didn't have played well in that game, where would have life taken me? I really don't know.
The official Manchester City podcast.
Welcome to the official Manchester City podcast with me, Rob Pollard, and as always, I'm joined by former City defender Nedum. And we are delighted to say that the podcast has been completely revamped. We've got a new format, and this is the first ever episode in that new format. And today we are joined by England and City defender Kyle Walker. So Nedum, what are you most looking forward to speaking to Kyle?
Firstly, it's an honour to be part of the revamp. And to start with someone like Kyle Walker is amazing. I think most people have heard him speak more and more in the media these days and usually very, very impressed. So for him to be the first, I think it sets the tone. He's got so much to say, so much insight that he can give us as well. And that's not just the listeners, that's myself as well. And even though I've played against him many times, he's one of my favourite City players. So this actually feels like somewhat of a privilege to get us going.
He's always struck me actually as an incredibly dedicated professional.
Yeah.
Obviously you have to be to get to his level, but I'm looking forward to kind of getting to the bottom of that.
Yeah, and seeing what that actually looks like, seeing what it feels like to be playing well, what it looks like to not be playing well, how do you manage those sorts of situations? And then ultimately, I think the big thing for me about this podcast is if they say they want to do another one, then I think that means the interview went well.
Absolutely. So here we go. Let's crack on.
It's in! Kyle Walker! When champions need inspiration, champions find inspiration!
I just came from, what I thought was just a normal, background where the kids are out on the estate playing football, and that's really my first memories of playing football. It was just a little bit of freedom and to probably get out my mum's hair rather than sitting in the house or in the masonette flat that we lived in, driving her insane. So it was like go out with your friends, and she used to come down onto the park where we was, give me a shout, and that was either time for tea or bedtime.
Was there a specific moment or period where you thought, I'm pretty good at this and I could get serious? When did that happen for you?
Well, I signed for Sheffield United at 7, so it all happened.
Is that what age you signed
7,
from?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it all happened really, really quickly. In school, I was always good, and the older lads used to let me play with them. So I always thought I had a chance, and I was better than my friends. So, but as you say, until you're around other people that are a similar level to you, you don't really know how good you are. But then when I went to the academy, it was just like playing, on the flats. It was easy, and I was a centre forward, to be fair.
I was gonna say that's the story. Yeah. That's the origin story.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I was a centre forward, so it was listening behind, go and score goals, and that's probably how I really made my name at Sheffield United, because I went to England under 15s before you go to the 16s to Lillishall as a centre forward.
I've got to say then. So respectfully, what happened?
I didn't grow.
That's what it was. Okay.
So I was tiny but quick, and I just had a growth spurt very late. I think I was about 17 until I really had a growth spurt, and all of a sudden I went from being the quickest by a mile to all of some people catching me up, and physically I wasn't strong. So I signed my scholarship. I was the last one to get a scholarship, so obviously having been with England 2 years prior to then going and getting a scholarship, I was second to last one. So I got lucky. I think in football you need a little bit of luck. You need a little bit of luck in everything, and that season Sheffield United got promoted, so their budget was a little bit bigger, and they actually give everyone in my age group a scholarship because it was quite a good age group. I think if they didn't get promoted, I probably wouldn't have got a scholarship. And I know my dad was speaking to one of the scouts that was at Sheffield United that moved to Scunthorpe. So I was potentially going to go on trial at Scunthorpe and see if I could, get a career there. But the right back got injured, just randomly got injured, and a guy called Sam Safe, who was taking out under 18s at the time, said, do you want to come and play at right back against Nottingham Forest? And then from then, I never looked back.
That performance against Forest, apparently you were, you took to the position like a duck to water. Why do you think that was? Why do you think you made that transition at that age and did it so seamlessly, do you think?
I don't want to sound corny. I think it's just survival mode. I knew that was probably my only chance at that period in my career where I was going to get some games. So it was like, you've got one shot at this and you need to put in a decent performance. I didn't really feel the pressure then. I didn't really put that much pressure on myself. But if I look back at it now, if I didn't have played well in that game, where would have life taken me? I really don't know.
What we said played well in that game. I know it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. But what did you do well? Was it the attacking stuff? Was it the defensive stuff? Or what was it?
Well, the winger was quick.
Do you remember who it was?
No, he doesn't play now. He doesn't play now, but he was one of their best players. I always remember, them always saying that he was one of their best players. But it's just kind of like, it's me v you. Mm-hmm. And that's what a fullback is. It's like you're playing on the streets, me v you, like Wembley, 1v1. We've got whoever comes out on top wins the game. And that's how I just played the game. Positionally, I've probably been all over the gaff. But 1v1 defending and, who's going to win this ball, me or you, I made sure that I came out on top. And I enjoyed it, and that was the thing. If I didn't enjoy it, and after the game I thought, I played well, but I didn't really enjoy it. I liked playing up front. I actually liked it. It was a different way of looking at the game. And I think from then, the rest is pretty much history. Yeah.
Do you like that challenge in your position of having to deal with different types of wingers as well? Because obviously they all bring a different quality, don't they? Some are like to go down the outside, some drift on the inside, whatever. Do you like that tactical challenge of your position? I
think that's what makes the best fullbacks that they can deal with any type of winger. If it's just, if I'm not the quickest, I like someone to play in the pocket so they don't run behind me. If you're quick, you don't really like them players in the pocket, them intelligent players in the pocket. But I think once you get over that hurdle of playing against everyone, you just have to treat that player to, their strengths, but make sure that they don't obviously capitalise on your weaknesses too much.
And tactically, how would you describe your journey from that academy setup and senior football at Sheffield United? You've then played with Pochettino, you played with Guardiola, two of the great managers. That development that you've been on tactically, how would you describe it? Because it must be totally different, the way you see the game, the way you play the game now, compared to when you first started coming through.
I think fullbacks changed compared to when I first started. I was lucky enough to get my debut at Sheffield United under Kevin Blackwell and Sam Ellis, and that was get the ball out your feet, whack it to the channels. I then went to QPR after signing for Tottenham, went to QPR on loan, and that was a Neil Warnock, which it was. Get it out your feet, find Adele, wherever Adele is, give him the ball. Or Jamie Mackey, give them the ball, and then let them go and do their thing. Then coming back to play for Harry Redknapp, where, Harry's not really like the coach that gets out on the training pitch and starts, demanding stuff, but he'll make you feel like the best player in the world. He'll make you feel like you're magnificent, and he kind of got 11 good players around him. Go out and play your stuff. Then there was AVB, Villas-Boas, that I had a brief time with at Tottenham, that all of a sudden now it was the foreign managers come in and it's more tactically. You have to think about your positioning, what you need to do, where they want you, how they want the system to work. And then that just evolved obviously to Pochettino and then, with Pep. So they've all got the pros and cons. I don't say any manager's perfect, because you've got one that puts their arm around the shoulder and says, well, come on, if you're having a down day. And the other one's just concentrated solely on football and what he feels is the best way to get a result. But I think as well, the game's evolved from when I first started to it is, now where we've got inverted fullbacks. You've got 9 times out of 10, you look at the top fullbacks, they've all been centre midfielders growing up. It's not really how it was back when it was a channel ball and probably me and you defending.
Exactly that. It's wild because you're just 32.
Yeah.
That's not old.
No.
But you talk about how much the game's changed across that time, and all those managers you've named, it's almost like a roll call of significant people. And they've all added something to your game, but which period, say either with a manager or just throughout your career, has had the biggest influence in terms of how you play today as a player?
It's between Pochettino and Pep. I think Pep's evolved my game in understanding and not wasting energy where I don't need to waste it. But I play a completely different role to what I played. I signed here as a wing back. And now all of a sudden I play in a back three. So Would I have been able to play in a back three at England? I've said this in interviews. If I was still playing in the Pochettino system, no, I wouldn't have, because I wouldn't have understood it. I'd have been too attacking. And, you know, my first thing would be to go forward rather than to cover. Now I'm kind of like a cornerback in NFL. You know, just, all right, where's the danger? Go and sniff that out. But I feel just in this team, you have to play to your qualities. Now, I don't want Kevin or Riyad running back defending because I'm going out on an overlap.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like you sacrifice yourself and say, well, I'll do that. That's my strengths. I'll make sure that you've got the energy when the ball comes to your feet where you're not tired and you can see a pass, or you've got the energy to get out 1v1 against your defenders. So you don't worry about defending, I'll defend. Sometimes I need help.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need help, but, you know, 9 times out of 10, I'll try and do the dirty work and let them go and get the headlines.
It was quite a big fee when you came to City, and you were replacing 2 club legends, really, Micah Richards, Pablo Zabaleta. They were the previous incumbents. Quite a lot of pressure there. Did you feel that, and did you expect to play the role that you have done and be as successful as you have? Because it's been an amazing period for you.
Did I feel pressure? Of course I did, because at the time it was a huge sum of money to pay for a fullback. I didn't feel the pressure with me going out and playing, because it wasn't like it wasn't a league that I've not played in for the last 6 or 7 years. So I know the league, I know the players. Only thing I don't know is really this team that I'm playing for. But I kind of just thought, well, you know, if Pep didn't want me, I wouldn't be here. So I knew that I had the trusting of the manager, but you kind of have to earn the trust from the players, which was the big step that I had to take. But they already knew me as well. It wasn't like I was coming from a different league. So I did feel pressure from the fee, and obviously a lot of outside noise. But as long as you go out onto the pitch and do what you're done to get you here, you shouldn't go far wrong.
In terms of that outside noise, I felt as a player, it's very tough to ignore overall. You can try to, but you can always catch something.
Yeah.
Do you still hear that today, or have you cut yourself off from it mostly?
I'd be lying if I don't say it. Of course I hear it. Of course I hear it. You know, there's so many, especially with England, where there's the right backs that we've got. We're blessed with right backs, where there's me, Trips, you know, Reece, Trent. You look at Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah. Ben
White, who's doing really well now at Arsenal. You know, there's a lot of players that are in my position that are playing really well. But again, it's down to yourself, you know. It's down to what you do. And obviously, the manager at England has a lot of trust in me, because we've been through the journey basically from he started. I started with Capello. And I think there's only me and Henderson that was been there since Capello was there and wasn't allowed to have tomato ketchup and stuff. But you earn your trust. I think you earn your stripes, don't you? And you have to build the trust up, but that only comes with performances and putting in good performances.
We spoke to Richard Dunn, and he said that you've completely changed the way City play since you arrived. You allowed Pep to play the system. I want to get your thoughts, because obviously you...
whether I think he's a good player. Well, he's got the thing in the background. Yeah, of course, he's fantastic.
Just whether he's been transformational in terms of City's style, because I think we couldn't really play Pep's game before Kyle came, and by having that energy and that pace at fullback, it's revolutionised everything.
For me personally, I think it says a lot that Pep Guardiola has been one of the most consequential managers in the history of football. Has had certain players who've been there for the longest time, and there's been a lot of success based upon that. You know, and that level of continuity, it has to form a bedrock of how he wants to play. So people like Kyle, he's talking about Bernardo Silva, I know there's as well Edison. Like, the team has transformed, and the style of play that they've had across those years has been really, really significant. And for myself, you know, I always feel better when I see Kyle's name on the team sheet. You know what I mean? But maybe I'm biased because he's old like me. You know what I mean? But it's it does mean a lot. And I think what Dunny says is true. I think you mentioned the people who came before, like Dunny, like Zabaleta and so on, and they were great for that time. But like, Kyle has been perfect for this time.
Taken to a new level. And
it's so interesting because when you first came, as was the case with others, like question marks, oh, that's a big fee. Oh, that's a big fee. But then it feels like you've all gotten better, to the point where everyone all of a sudden doesn't remember the fee and just assuming that this is the player you were when you first came.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the outside noise, if you know what I'm saying.
See, time at City's been super successful, but you've also enjoyed this really good period with England. I know you've really loved that, haven't you? What is it about the setup? Gareth, what he's done, you know, John Stones loves it, you love it. What's he created there? What's different from previous England regimes?
I think we're all, you know, relatively the same age, or we're all playing against each other week in, week out in the Premier League at, you know, tough games and top oppositions. But he's made it like club football, but internationally. So obviously you do go away and you spend a period of time where the rooms are like this and you're trapped, you're in it. And especially even when we went through COVID, we couldn't see anyone through the Euros. And I just think it just made us so close together as a team. There's no seating arrangements. There's no, okay, well, the Man City lads sit down there and the Liverpool lads sit up there. We're all together. And anyone can sit with anyone. And I think that's where we've probably progressed a little bit more than when we were first there, where we had good players, we had a great team. But I don't think the togetherness was there. It was more, okay, I'm here doing my job. I want to do well for myself.
Yeah. So
I don't get the criticism. But I've still got one eye on the fixture next week because it's a Manchester derby or it's a North London derby, and I need to keep one eye on that as well.
Are you looking after Rico? Because he's mentioned that he very much looks up to you, and obviously he's a young player making his way in the game. Are you kind of trying to help him, and what do you think of him as a prospect?
I think Rico's unbelievable. I think his brain and how his brain works for a young player is fantastic. There's still things he needs to sharpen upon. I don't think he's the finished article by a million miles because it takes time. He's going to come under games where he's going to be under pressure. He's going to have setbacks. And I've always said to any youngster that I've ever spoke to that, it's about the top 10%. We all can play football or we wouldn't be here. But when you get the knockback or when you do play really well and something knocks you back, how do you then react off of that? Some people can't deal with it. I've seen a lot of players in my time come and go where technically I think they was far better than me. But I feel just mentally, I don't think they had it. And I don't think they wanted to either push themselves that extra 10%, whether that was in the gym or on the field, and they just thought that their ability would take over and they would get them through because it probably got them through from the age of under 9s to 18s, and then all of a sudden you get into the first team and it's a dog-eat-dog.
Yeah.
It's a dog-eat-dog.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You talked about the mentality there. I've always thought with footballers, that must be as hard as the physical side. I mean, we've got club psychologists here and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever struggled with that side of it and the pressure, or is it something that makes you thrive?
No, I have struggled sometimes, when things aren't going your way outside of football, or, you're in a bit of bad form and you're thinking, why is this happening? But I always just think, go back to the basics. Go back to what got you to where you was in your happy place. But things are out of your control sometimes. The manager can only pick 11 players to go onto the field. Now, every one of us down there are going to think that we should be playing. It can't happen. But it's how you react from that. Some people take it, I'm the worst. I hate not playing. But with experience and my age now, I kind of think, okay, but I'm here for the team. I'm here for the lads, and I'll make sure that the lads have my backing, whether that's me shouting in the changing room beforehand to get them over that line for that game. The last game of the season, Aston Villa, I was the one that's shouting on the bench, running up and down the touchline because it meant something to me. That was a 38-game slog that we did, and I wanted to play the last game. I came back from twisting my ankle, having injections in my ankle to play against Real Madrid, twisting my ankle again, trying to get back to the end of the season because I wanted to be there with the lads. Couldn't make it, but I didn't blame them. I didn't blame anyone. I just thought I need to do what I need to do as one of the captains to make sure that you guys go and get this victory that we need. But what I need from myself is to be there for this team.
Yeah, that game against Villa, was that the one where you kicked the corner flag, smashed that in?
Yeah, that was a little bit around. Yeah. Okay. It was. I picked it up and I wanted to throw it. I wanted to do everything with it because I was angry that I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I'm also sad that I'm not on that field hugging the lads.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of frustration, but it's happiness at the same time.
Exactly. And in this approach that you have now, when did you first start to have that? Because I think as a young player, given how good you are as well, you would have faced the disappointment would have still hit you differently because it never happened before. No. So when did you all of a sudden have this mentality, and was it something that was shown to you by others or something you just gathered across the years you were playing?
I probably learned a lot from the likes of Vinny, but Vinny was a little bit different. I say more Fernandinho.
Okay.
Because I came here and Dino was first class. He's one of these players that you look at from when you're not here and you think, okay, good Premier League player. But when I got here, he was instrumental to what we did that first 2 seasons. He was a warrior. He was a warrior. The little things that people didn't want to do, the challenges that people didn't want to stick the leg in, he put his leg in. And that just set the tone for that game going on. And 9 times out of 10, we probably went on and won that game. But when Rodri came, and fair play to Rodri because he's coming and he's made that position his own, but I'm thinking, what a tough position this is going to be for you to take. Because he's a big character.
Yeah.
He was the captain. And I'm sat back and think, oh, gee, you don't want to be you too.
It's tough, yeah.
And Dino, how Dino is, he goes in hard on training and he's going hard on Rodri and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But Rodri is, I think that's made him a better player. But Dino, you could count on him in the changing room before the game. He'd be geeing the lads up, making sure that they got out and did what was best for the team. So I've kind of took it from him.
That's to be fair, yeah.
Is he the best captain you've played with, Fernandinho?
Pushed him out there. You've caused an issue there, you have.
Nah,
caused a big issue.
I say Dino learnt a lot from Vinny. I think Vinny was, for this club, he was second to none. Unbelievable.
Just in terms of the way he led, you mean, with, the way he behaved and trained and all that kind of stuff?
Dino was a great pro. But I think Vinny as a captain, not just on the field, outside of the field, making sure that everyone was looked after around the training ground, whether that was for Christmas, end of season and stuff like that. I've been at Tottenham and some of the things that Vinny did for the staff here would never happen. So Vinny had more of his heart was here and he made sure that everyone, if he's fine, everyone was fine, and that's what I really liked about Vinny.
Interesting. I've got a stat here for you. It's 208 games since you made an error that led directly to a goal. So the last time you made an error that led directly to a goal in the Premier League was for Spurs in November 2015. And in the intervening period, nobody has gone more games than you without making an error.
Who was that against?
It doesn't say.
He doesn't know. He doesn't.
No,
it doesn't say.
I don't know if you're the same as me, but you kind of know when you've got your fingerprints on a goal, but it's not necessarily always direct.
Yeah.
But when they give you that type of start, like for me, it's probably been 20 years for me since I last did one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one more that I found interesting. So you've scored.
Not many.
That's a nice way to say it.
You've scored
not many.
You've scored 6 of your 8 goals in the Premier League have been from outside the box.
Yeah.
So actually, your percentage of goals from out is 75%. Only 4 players in Premier League history have got a higher percentage of their overall goal tally from outside the box. Who do we think they are?
Any current players?
No. They've all retired, but they're all
Scholes.
fairly recent. No, that's a good shout. No.
So
Andros Townsend.
No.
Who scores bangers?
Xabi Alonso was one.
yeah.
Okay.
Thomas Hitzelsberger, obviously,
I can
because he
believe that.
used to whack
Yeah.
him in from distance. Tom Huddleston
Can believe that.
always scored.
Could definitely believe that, yeah.
Barnstormers.
The head, yeah.
And then top of the list is 2 guy. He scored 10 goals and 9 of them came from outside the box.
Can believe that as well. So how many have you actually got in your career?
8, according to that.
That's Premier League, though,
That's
isn't
8
it?
Premier League,
Yeah.
yeah. Any
You got
others?
any in the cups or anything?
Yeah.
Sheffield United away, was that?
That was in the Prem though. But
That
I've
was
scored
in the
against.
Prem,
I've scored
that
for
was in the
Villa against Sheffield United in the cup.
Okay. And you happy with your goals tally?
No,
You should have scored more.
correct.
You had more opportunities.
Not really. No.
Okay, so how should you have scored more then?
I just feel that I can just score more. I
I
think.
think you've got 12 overall, I think.
What career goals?
I think so.
It's a bit bad,
one-
that, you know.
yeah,
it's
it's
not
not-
great,
it's not
you know.
great. It's not
It's
great.
not great. How many years have you been at City as well?
6.
It's not great, mate. A lot of goals scored in that time.
I'm defending. I'm covering people.
No.
I'm
You're not
covering
actually.
people.
No, you're not.
I get one.
No,
I get
you're
one
not.
a season,
You're not
2 a
actually, no.
season. I get
Are
one.
you happy with that?
No, I should get more.
So when your team's scoring over 100 goals a season, you're happy with your one?
No,
Okay, cool. It's just double checking.
No,
Just double
I'm not,
checking.
but-
Just putting it out there.
how many we conceding?
Here we go.
Not a lot.
Flipping heck.
Not a lot.
We've got
I'm
the
a
best-
defender.
the
I'm
best
a defender.
defender.
No, but I'm a defender. I don't want to score.
Best defensive record in the league for the last few years, and you've been a big part of that. So there we go.
Yeah,
It's
credit where it's
important.
due.
Thank you.
You've done all right. You've done all right.
3 questions we ask every guest. Number 1, if you could change one rule in football, what would it be?
See, I don't mind VAR. I don't mind it. I think it's all right.
That's my guy.
I think it's all right. I do think it takes out the talk in the pub or the talk, like, you know, I think it was a goal. I don't think it was a goal. I think it was offside. I don't like it because of that, but it is fair.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, it is a goal or it isn't a goal.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say VAR. I don't know, something stupid like heading the ball or something. Like, just don't head the ball.
Don't head it.
Yeah, you can't head it. Like,
especially because people heading it to score is different to like standing on the halfway line as a goalkeeper kicks it as high as he can. And just looking up there.
Yeah,
like, here we go.
Yeah.
And they'd say height and distance. Ugh.
Yeah. Or definitely don't head it in training because it just hurts so much more than when it's on a game. For some reason, I don't know.
Even with
why.
these lighter balls now, it
doesn't matter. When they put spin on it and they put it on purpose, when Kevin does it on purpose and puts a spin on it,
it's a
then
lot,
you've got to head it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
What was the last thing you binged? Like, what book did you read? Podcast series on Netflix or whatever? What was the last thing that you just blitzed?
I just watched The Night Agent on Netflix.
Was it good?
Good watch.
Yeah?
Good watch. 10 episodes I did in like 3 days. So it was
pretty good going.
Yeah.
And then the final one. If you could ask our next guest anything, what would it be? And we're not telling you who that guest is. I'll give you a clue, though. It is one of your teammates.
Great clue.
Yes, fantastic clue, yeah.
Brilliant.
Really narrowed it down, yeah.
Are they happy with their City career so far?
Fantastic question. Remember that.
Well, is he going to answer it himself then?
Well, he's the first ever guest. So we don't actually have a question from a previous guest.
Okay.
So you got away with that.
Yeah.
But Kyle Walker, that was an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was really insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again. I enjoyed this appearance.
Thank you.
Man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They have regrouped though. Kevin De Bruyne brings in Walker, who will surely hit it into the back of the net.
The official Manchester City podcast with Rob Pollard and Nedum.
Kyle Walker there.
Let me guess, you're going to say it was fantastic.
No, some fascinating insights, I thought.
Nah, you got me there. You got me. No, Kyle's really good. I think having done some of the media work that I do now, I've heard him appear on one or two of those things, and he's been very, very good. So eloquent, really understands the game, and you can see how driven he is as well. He's such a big deal for Man City.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because my experience of interviewing him all the time is you don't just get stock answers from him. You do actually get some personality. Footballers I've worked with in the past, sometimes it can be, they fall back on cliches and things like that, but with Kyle you always feel like you're getting a part of him, I think.
Do you know what? I think that is fair, but I think sometimes from a playing perspective you give cliches if you get cliche questions. A lot of the questions.
You're
the difference.
Yeah.
You are the difference. Let's not give credit to anyone else. Like, you're the difference. You're the difference maker. And that's Kyle. He's older without being old, and he understands his place within football, understands his place at Man City and his place in the Premier League. So when somebody asks him a question, he can be afforded that extra room to sort of really explain himself and talk more instead of just being worried about, say, what people will think of him. I love that. It's such a great spot to be in.
That did really come across, actually, how kind of assured of his kind of place in the Premier League history or, English football. He's very confident in kind of his legacy already, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he's probably got, he's got plenty more to give as well.
Yeah, of course. He could be playing for many, many years, but I think he's also in a position where he can play for as long as he wants. Nobody's going to be retiring him or stopping him because he knows how to play the game. He's done it for so well for so long, and what position to be in given the way he started in Sheffield to now be, in theory, in the conversation for one of the best right-backs in Premier League history. It's not too bad, is it?
Yeah. Brilliant. Anyway, thank you for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe the podcast wherever it is you do your podcast listening. And make sure you download the Manchester City app as well. That's the best place to get all the latest news and information on everything that's coming out of the Etihad and the City Football Academy. Thank you for listening, and until next time, take care.
The official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus and Recast Now. This podcast is produced by VoiceWorks Sport and Manchester City.